Welcome to It Starts with Clarity, where real conversations meet life's crossroads. I'm Ellen Gibson, founder of Pivot Point Me, and each week we talk about clarity, focus, mindset, and taking action when life places us at a pivot point. If you've ever felt like your personal life, your business, your finances, your relationships, or even your emotional world suddenly become chaotic, today's episode is for you. Because sometimes the breakdown is actually the beginning of the breakthrough. There's something interesting about human nature. Most of us don't move when things are comfortable. We stay where we are because it feels familiar, predictable, safe. Even if we know deep down that something is no longer aligned, we stay. We stay in the business strategy that isn't working anymore. We stay in the relationship dynamic that drains us. We stay in routines that are no longer helping us grow. We stay in old identities long after we've outgrown them. Why? Because comfort creates attachment, and attachment creates resistance to change. So often, life begins to shake us. Things start breaking down around us. The schedule gets disrupted. The relationship becomes strained. The business begins slowing down. The exhaustion becomes impossible to ignore. The frustration increases. And the doors start closing. In those moments, we often think everything is falling apart. But what if it isn't falling apart? What if it's falling into place? What if the discomfort is not punishment, but redirection? I've seen this happen over and over with clients. A business owner begins feeling frustrated and stuck. Revenue plateaus. Team issues start surfacing, and motivation disappears. At first, they think the problem is external. But after deeper conversation, they realize something really important. They outgrew the version of the business they built years ago. The chaos wasn't random. It was a signal. The business was demanding evolution. And the same thing happens personally. Sometimes, emotionally, we begin feeling restless, irritated, disconnected, tired. We may feel overwhelmed, anxious, or uncertain. And sometimes that internal discomfort is trying to show us that we're no longer living aligned with who we are becoming. Your spirit will eventually rebel against staying too small. One of the hardest truths about growth is this: movement usually begins with discomfort. Rarely do people radically change while everything feels easy. Most transformation begins after tension, after frustration, after confusion, after exhaustion. After something finally becomes uncomfortable enough that staying the same hurts way more than changing. And that is a powerful moment, because pain often becomes the catalyst for clarity. Now, this doesn't mean every difficult moment means you should immediately quit your job, leave your business, or make reckless decisions. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is this: when chaos appears repeatedly, it deserves examination. Pause and ask, what is this situation trying to teach me? Where have I become stagnant? What part of my life have I ignored? What am I resisting? Where do I already know I need to move? Those questions matter, because many times we already know the answer. We just haven't wanted to face it yet. Let's talk about business for a moment. Sometimes a business owner knows deep down that they need to change a strategy, restructure the team, raise prices, delegate, evolve their marketing, step into leadership differently, or stop operating from burnout, maybe move into a new niche, or just let go of an old identity. But comfort keeps them frozen until eventually the business itself creates enough pressure that movement becomes unavoidable. And honestly, sometimes that pressure is necessary because comfort zones rarely produce transformation. The very same thing is true personally. Maybe life is asking you to establish some boundaries or take care of your health, heal emotionally, stop people pleasing, have the hard conversation, release old resentment, reconnect spiritually, trust yourself again, or stop living according to everyone else's expectations. But if we refuse to move voluntarily, eventually life becomes uncomfortable enough that we're forced to pay attention. I want to say something important here. Just because things feel chaotic doesn't mean you're failing. Sometimes chaos is evidence that growth is occurring beneath the surface. Think about construction for a moment. Before something new is built, there's usually demolition. Old structures have to come down. Space has to be cleared. The process looks messy before it looks beautiful. And your life may feel exactly like that right now. So, how do we work through these seasons instead of collapsing inside of them? Let me give you a few tools. Number 1, stop resisting reality. The faster we accept what is happening, the faster we regain clarity. Resistance drains our energy. Acceptance creates movement. This doesn't mean giving up. It means honestly acknowledging where you are. Number 2, get quiet long enough to hear yourself. Chaos creates noise, but clarity usually comes in the stillness. Turn down the distractions. Journal, pray, meditate, walk, sit quietly. Your inner wisdom is often trying to speak beneath the panic. Number 3, ask better questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of, what if everything fails? Ask yourself, what if this is redirecting me somewhere better? The quality of our questions changes the quality of our thinking. Number 4, focus on the next step, not the entire staircase. When life feels uncertain, people freeze because they think they need the full master plan. Most of the time, you only need the next right step. Clarity grows through movement, not through standing still. Number 5, build support around yourself. This is not the season to isolate. Find wise voices, mentors, friends, coaches, community. Sometimes we need someone outside the chaos to help us see clearly again. There's a quote I love, and it says, sometimes when things are falling apart, they may actually be falling into place. I personally believe that deeply. Some of the greatest shifts in my own life began in seasons that initially looked like complete disruption. And looking back later, I realized life was pushing me toward expansion, toward alignment, toward growth, toward purpose. So today, if your life feels uncomfortable, if your business feels uncertain, if things around you seem to be shifting, pause before assuming everything is ruined and ask yourself, is life trying to move me somewhere new? Because sometimes discomfort is not destruction, and sometimes the very thing you are resisting is the doorway to your next level. Thank you for joining me for this episode of It Starts with Clarity. If today's conversation spoke to you, I encourage you to take a few quiet moments and ask yourself where life may be calling you to move, to shift, to grow, or realign. And remember, clarity rarely comes from standing still forever. It comes from movement. To learn more about Pivot Point Me, explore additional podcast episodes, schedule a one-on-one clarity session, or learn more about our mastermind groups and virtual boot camps, visit the website today. Until next time, keep moving forward with clarity, focus, and courage.